All right, Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, thanks, Shaq. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, everybody. My daughter's on day 3 of a fever, so I thought I'd probably spare you all of that. And I will call the meeting to order, and then if it's okay, Shaq, I'll just ask you to run through the agenda. That would probably be a little more efficient since you're in the room.
Sure, happy to do that. The first agenda item is introductions. So I'll go first. I'm Shaq Powers, Regional Economic Development District, and then I'll go around the Zoom room. Madam Chair,
Sarah Hill, City of Durango.
thanks. Tim,
Matt Nyberg.
Tim, if you are speaking, we can't. Let the record show that Tim Funk did unmute, but that we couldn't hear him. Mandy,
Hey, good morning, everybody. Mandy Brown, Southern Ute Tribe Transportation Division.
thank you. Ian,
Ian Robertson, City of Cortez.
thank you. Matthew,
You put it in chat.
great, thanks. Jose,
I think that's just an automatic AI note.
oh, okay. Carl, all right. David,
David Harris, Augusta Springs Town Manager.
thank you. Commissioner Candelaria, Commissioner Candelaria,
You wrote chat.
okay, good. All right, to my left, should be easier in the room, just
Yeah.
follow like dominoes.
I'm Allison Barker, Region 9 Economic Development District.
Julie Hanson, Region 5 Transportation Director. Barbara McLaughlin, Transportation Commission.
Annie Altor, Multimodal and Transit Liaison for CDOT Region 5.
Tony Katie, I'm the Planning and Environmental Manager.
John Sir, I'm the Deputy Maintenance Superintendent for CDOT Southwest Colorado.
Andy Milroy, Archuleta County.
Laura Lewis, Marshino, Region 9.
Matt Salton, Plata County Commissioner.
Wyatt Bear, Southwest Representative, Simon Love.
All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda with the previous meeting's minutes that were in your packet and the financials. I did tell you when I sent the packet out that the reason that it's in the negative is because we won't be able to make our quarterly request for reimbursement till after the first of the year. Are there any questions or amendments to the financials or minutes? Seeing none, Sarah would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So move, David Harris.
Second,
Second.
Commissioner Salka. All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next would be public comment. Is anybody representing the public that would like to speak? All right, then we'll move on to the stack update. At the November stack meeting, they discussed people, if the TBRs weren't using funding, that they would be pulling some of that back. That's not been an issue for us. The other notes are in your packet. Does anybody have questions about stack? There was no December, by the way. All right, we'll move on to the Transportation Commissioner report. Barbara?
It's been an interesting year and coming in at the time when we have a million budgets. We have last year's, next year's, 10-year, 5-year. So my head's been swimming, but I'm learning a lot and working hard to represent you.
Thank you. Congressional updates.
Just a few things for you all this morning. You might have seen last month, the Department of Transportation released funding award grants for the bus and bus facilities program for low and no emissions transportation vehicles. They announced $60 million in funding for 13 car projects. None of the projects were in the Southwest region here. The ones that were close by were in San Miguel, Regional Transportation Authority in Madison Valley at RTA. But that being said, we're grateful to see the bipartisan infrastructure law continue to fund these projects across the state. And we are more than happy to continue to provide support for your projects and as we did for these projects, if there's more eligibility for funding in the future. But some good news you may have all seen that passed around, but on Tuesday, Congress passed a 3-year SRS reauthorization bill funding for counties. This is a 1-year retroactive for FY24, 2-year proactive for FY25-26. Counties should expect to receive FY24 payments in the coming months, and then they'll get the FY25 payment some point in the spring, FY26, and then the FY26 in the spring, FY27. Senator was the original co-sponsor of this bill back in the Senate. It passed unanimously in the Senate, in a large part of the RL's delegation. I think everyone voted for it at a certain point once it passed the House. So happy to see this happen, but moving forward, try not to have this continuous reauthorization every 3 years. Last time we know how hard this is on county, so we'll try to find a permanent solution moving forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, Spencer's going to go over the regional transit plan. And Spencer, you should be able to share your screen now. And I think you will need a vote on this, correct?
Yes, we will be asking for a vote. And I will just mention we have Emily Barden on, so I'm just going to briefly introduce this and then pass it off to Emily. I'll go ahead and Emily, do you want me to share the plan or would you rather do that on the screen?
I can pull it up. That's fine.
Sure. All
Thank you,
right.
then.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background while Emily is pulling that up. This is very much a part of the 2050 long-range planning process. This plan is required to receive and disperse Federal Transit Administration funds, which is part of why we'll be asking to get this adopted by the end of this calendar year. And we've had some comments already from a couple members of the TPR regarding project list, and we can go over all those and the changes that were made. But I'll go ahead and pass that off to Emily so she can walk through the plan and some of the major feedback that has been heard from the TPR.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Spencer. Yeah, so today I have the most updated version of the draft here. So we can take a look at it. I'm trying to think back. Our public comment period for our transit plans were I believe we got a few comments for updating the Southwest transit plan. Wasn't super excessive, so I don't think it's changed a lot since the first draft of it. We did have a few comments on the readability and accessibility for some of these plans. So we updated kind of how the text is laid out, just making sure that it's accessible to as many people as possible. But yeah, I can run through this real quick. So we kind of start with kind of a wider lens on the region, just kind of a summary of transit in the region and the Southwest TPR in general. We have the transit propensity index, which is also in the Southwest transportation plan as well. So just looking at data that's available to us, looking at where we found that there's a high transit need versus low transit need. we talked a bit about, what we've heard from the input from all of you in the past probably year and a half or so of attending these TPR meetings, talking to you all about what you want to see from the regional plan, and talking to the public as well. We involved what we heard from the telephone town halls in the plan, and what we kind of heard the most is that the Southwest TPR really wants to see a more broad approach, or a holistic approach on transportation, looking at everything as it fits together, and how transit fits into driving and active transportation and everything like that. We also saw an interest in tourism, um, interest in coordination and collaboration with highway projects or roadway projects, shifting to electric vehicle or new technology for transportation has been we've seen that a lot in Southwest and everywhere, but that's been really big, and an importance in transit maintenance. So um, that's kind of what we heard from you. Um, and Next up here, we have the results from the transit for the survey of older adults and adults with disabilities. So this was a statistically valid survey that we conducted over the spring and summer of this year, where we sent out surveys to people who um, are disabled, or older adults, and just kind of ask them how they use transit, if they use transit, um, items like that. You can see in the results for the Southwest specifically, we have a really broad kind of range of what people have responded, where, when it comes to barriers using public transportation, you can see that the comments are like the what we found for this year's survey is that, and this may just be due to who received the survey, but we kind of saw more people who say that service is not provided where they live, and uh, kind of less people than years past responded to some of these questions. So maybe that's a sign for us to look into uh, what kind of questions we ask, or um, how we reach out to people. So that's something worth looking into. And you know, uh, we see sl- a slight increase when we ask, like, how to use public transit or demand response. We saw an increase in not likely at all. We saw a slight increase in somewhat likely from last year, and then we saw a decrease in very likely. So, you know, um, and then we also saw, for types of trips that people say that they use public transportation for, we saw, similar to previous years, we saw higher votes for things like medical appointments or shopping and pharmacy trips, um, and somewhat less, but still there is recreation and community events. So, yeah, so it was enlightening. I think that across the state, this is pretty consistent. These results are pretty consistent with what we saw. I think that this could be like these changes in opinion, or could be due to how like COVID-19 had an impact on how people use public transit. Could be another other number of factors. So um, you know, we this is why we kind of want to look into these things throughout the years in each planning cycle, to see how people's minds have changed on transit. And then I'll just kind of quickly run through this part. This is mostly just kind of a summary of definitions of transit service types and categories. So just to provide, that information for anyone who might be interested, for the public or whoever. And then we have our list of transit providers. So this is specifically for interregional, regional, and local transit. And we have information from NTD on revenue miles and hours, ops and admin budget, ridership, so on and so forth, for the transit providers in this area. And then down here we have the operating data that we gathered for Southwest. And we have cost of operations. We just want to make sure that we gather this information so that not only it's available to the public and to everyone, but that CDOT is keeping track of this information and looking into it. And then down here we have the human services transportation providers. So just keeping track of the human services that aren't necessarily explicitly transit providers, but such as like senior centers that are providing transportation for the people in the Southwest TPR. And I know that Southwest did a report on human service transportation providers that may not be that report serving Southwest, that didn't actually serve the Southwest. So we tried to cover that, as we tried to show that as best as we could in here. Like we said at the beginning, if there are any inaccuracies that you see in here or something that we need to change, please feel free to let us know. But we did try make sure to double check that and try and make sure that that's reflected in this list. And then we have the other human services that don't necessarily provide transportation and state of good repair information. Let's see. We have real quick down here, we have our regional coordination activities that occur in the Southwest and the financial snapshot that we tried to cover for for the Southwest. Try and cover that as best as we can, as we're able. And once again, kind of defining funding programs and opportunities for transit. And then finally, we have ideas for implementation strategies for the Southwest's goals and the state goals for improving transit. And then we have the priority projects as the priority projects for Southwest TPR. So I kind of tried to run through that quickly, but I'd be happy to send this document out to anyone if you want to look over it, or if you want today, we can vote to you all, not me, can vote to approve this plan. And if you're okay with it. I would also like to add that we can always update this plan, make updates after it gets improved. If you all see anything that you want to change or would like to see differently. We are, like Spencer said, we are trying to get this approved for before the end of the year so that we can make sure that that all of the regional transit plans are sent to the FTA, and so that all of the 5310 projects specifically, we can make sure that those are all reflected in the updated transit plans. But yeah, are there any questions or comments on this? Yeah, I see one hand up.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so I have a a quick question, or maybe two, but is this like a living document that'll be updated annually? I know that it's a long-range plan, but and the only reason I ask that is obviously I haven't seen these numbers here yet or haven't reviewed them, but I mean, the question that I get, and I understand what the state is trying to do and I appreciate it, but at what cost are we putting into transit when we need money for the roads and the surfacing? So is it a living document? Can we update it annually, or does it have to just, we vote on it and this is cast in stone?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, this is I would say that this is a living document. We don't update we don't typically update the transit plans annually. Our typical planning cycle for these are every 5 years. So in come probably about 2029, we'll be working to update this plan again.
And if I can just briefly add to what Emily said, there is this list of priority projects really is kind of like a wish list in a way. This is not saying that all of these are going to get funded at this exact level. It doesn't mean that all of these are getting into the 10-year plan. It's kind of identifying needs in the region, these being a lot of the top priorities. Doesn't mean that these are the only needs in the region either. A lot of these were pulled from the long list in the regional transportation plan, which that in itself is, those projects are not all making it into the 10-year plan by any means. It's really identifying what the key needs are and making sure that those are on a list and on a plan so that they can be better identified for future funding opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, Spencer. Yeah, that is definitely worth mentioning. Yeah, these project totals were what we had for how much these projects are going to cost and not the the amount of money that the projects are necessarily going to get. A lot of these projects, the transit agencies or agencies leading these projects are applying for funds for transit funds and things, but yeah, definitely what Spencer said. This is not a guarantee for funding.
Right. Okay. I understand that. Just because the costs are going to change, obviously in 5 years, these costs are not going to be the same, and
Right.
or are these projected costs out 5 years and 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll work we'll be working in the next planning cycle to definitely, if any of these costs update or if there are increases or increases in costs or changes in what the project is, we're absolutely happy to make these updates.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. I'm wondering if the big bicycle championships that are going to be here in what I think 5 years, we're going to have a lot of national press here. We're going to have people from all over the country coming here. Has any of that been factored into this plan about getting the roads in shape, getting public transportation in shape, kind of giving us 5 years instead of a week to get it done? Just kind of curious as to if that's affecting anything here.
Yeah, so I don't think specifically that event is mentioned in this plan. We do definitely talk about the need for an increase in this plan is specifically kind of focused around transit more than it is about roadway projects. But we definitely tried to reflect the need for improved public transportation in the area. And we have in your goals, and what we heard is important to you all is tourism as a whole. So I hope that will be reflected, and I hope that that's reflected well enough. Yeah, Sarah?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Commissioner, that is a really great question. And all of the projects that we had on this list were like identified over the course of a couple years previously. So the timing didn't work out or align that we knew the championship was coming, but I think that that's gonna have a huge impact.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
I also have a question. I haven't done just a line item by line item comparison, but I see at least one project on the project list that is already completed for Durango Transit. So I don't know if this plan needs to be adopted today or if there's opportunity for us to provide that feedback.
No, that would be great. We can definitely make those updates.
Okay.
And this is up to you all, but what some of the other TPRs have done is some people have said that either like that they approve of the plan on the caveat that some like so and so changes are made, which we can do, or I can work to make those updates in the document. I can send out the updated document to you all, and then if you want, the TPR can vote to approve of this plan over email if you want. But yeah, we can definitely make those changes. Which plan or which project is that?
Just the first one that I noticed was the project 1331 Durango Zone 5. That one is already completed.
Okay.
And then I would have to just confirm with all of the other projects that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
feel free to.
Plan pending changes or updates to it and just identify those.
Yeah, Emily, this is Andrew with Mountain Express Transit. I emailed about some multiple projects in Archuleta County that are completed that are still on this list as well.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, I believe we did make those changes. I apologize for this. I think that is. I think I do have the update for that document.
Yeah, you sent me the updated projects list, but it probably didn't make it into the whole plan.
Let me see if this one has that. Thank you for reminding me about that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I believe this one has those updates. Yes, that's right. Because yeah, we were talking about that at around the beginning of this week, and so I think those were the only changes to this project list. And but other than that, the rest of this plan is the same as the previous document that I had. But yes, thank you for reminding me about that.
All right, so I think at this point, we either need to table this or for them to get it finished by the end of the year, we need a motion to approve with amendments as noted in the discussion.
Jack, I will say, I recommend that the TPR does make a motion to approve this plan with the caveat that any emails that we receive, we will make, and that will be the version that we send to the FTA, and we will send that to the entire TPR for any additional feedback before that gets sent out. I think right now the most important thing is that we get this approved so that we can make sure there is no issues in that FTA funding. And I think if there are extra projects on this list that are completed, that's a minor issue in comparison to not having this adopted and approved in time. So I will say I think the right course of action would be to make a motion, and then we can make all of the changes that we receive both at today's meeting and in the next week or so, and send that final document back to the TPR for any further feedback.
Okay, I will move to approve the regional transit plan, including any specific project additions or eliminations as needed.
Motion by Sarah Hill.
I'll
Second by
second that. Carl Johnson, Town of Pagosa.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any?
Aye.
Aye.
To be clear, on the vote, David and Commissioner Harris, did you vote opposed or did you vote in favor?
Was in favor.
Okay, thank you. I was speaking too fast and not letting everything come in on Zoom. All right, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you. And I believe the next item on the agenda is the 10-year plan update. Tim, are you able to share your screen?
There was also a TAP funding item, Shaq.
Oh, yeah. Have fun.
Shaq, would you be able to share the, just the packet? I can run through it.
Sure.
And then.
Give me just a second to share screen on Zoom.
Awesome. Thank you, Shaq.
Yes, ma'am. And did you want to start with this document?
That's perfect. I'm only gonna run through the slides, but the 2-pager at the end is just for good insight if people wanted some additional information.
That's not right. There we go.
All right, so just a quick TAP update. This is to seek a review committee member for the Southwest TPR and then provide an update on the TAP program. So just a little background, TAP or Transportation Alternatives Program. It is a grant program that funds similar components as the MMOF program, but this is a federal program where MMOF is typically state, but they fund projects like bike and ped, safe routes to school, some transit as well. And this is a program that's been going on for 3+ decades. And this is an application that CDOT oversees in coordination with the US DOT. Typically, we do this program in the spring. However, an update is that we're actually going to push this call until fall of 2026. The reason for that is with the federal transportation bill ending in September of next year, we just want to make sure we understand what's going to become from that new bill and just make the most informed call as possible. Next slide, please. So how it works, Region 5 will have its own set aside for projects within our region. Then we'll hold a call where agencies will submit their applications. To improve the applications, CDOT's gonna vet some of the applications beforehand. This is something we did this year with MMOF, which seemed to help fill in any missing gaps and making sure that the committees have good applications to review and can make good decisions. Following that, the scoring committee will submit their recommendations to the executive management team at CDOT, and technically they will have the final review and approval. We are unsure what the Region 5 pool will be at this point, but we can let you know as we have that finalized. So next slide, please. So the scoring committees for Region 5, it's going to be made up of a Southwest TPR member, as well as a San Luis Valley and a Gunnison Valley TPR member. And then within CDOT Region 5, we're going to have one expert in transit, active transportation, and regional rep. Another important person we're going to have on it is our local agency engineer, who's Bridget's in the room, and she'll have really good insight on the local agency program and what these projects will look like once we start delivering them. And then for the tasks on the next slide, please. So something to know about if you're the one who's assigned to do the regional scoring committee is that you'll be looking at each application, scoring them, working with the scoring committee. You'll be looking at the outcomes that the federal TAP program has, as well as some of the Colorado state outcomes that we would like to see from this program. There are a few meetings that you'll have to attend to score and review, but also there'll be a pre-training. So you'll learn everything you'll need to know about the program beforehand. And then you'll be recommending those applications. Next slide, please. So just some basic responsibilities is, you know, you want to avoid any conflicts of interest, maintain confidentiality, and then give your feedback on those applications. And being a Southwest TPR member, you'll have that good insight on this region. And then just a time commitment slide on the next slide. Understanding the TAP program, reviewing the applications, and probably 2 meetings to work on the applications as well as that pre-training I mentioned. That shouldn't be too long, and headquarters will be running that. So I can take any questions at this time, and then I'll ask for a discussion.
And this is the same way we did it last round, correct?
Slightly different, but most for what's going to be facing here, it's going to be pretty much the same. I think the vetting process will be good.
So I think everybody's so enlightened, they don't need to ask anything. Or they're so confused, they don't know what to ask.
So I think you all are experts on TAP, so that helps.
So at this point, do you need volunteers to be on this committee in the fall?
Yeah, and so I guess that's another thing to factor with the nomination process is making sure whoever we're selecting now will be able to serve in the fall of next year. The reason we're doing the call for nomination so early is once we get the go ahead to get this application out, we want to hit the road and do it quick.
Our chair, Heather Alvarez, is not here, so if anybody wanted to make a motion to have Heather.
Pay back for being in Mexico. I would add potentially the person on this committee, I don't, and all the LAs may be applying for this money, but if you have to sit out on the voting because you have an application in for the tab, I don't know, it's probably hard to know right now who's gonna apply for it, but that might be something to consider for.
We see that with them a lot too.
Yeah, and like we navigated, you guys navigated all the time, like not voting when it comes to your team project and everyone supports each other, so.
I've done this before, and I would just encourage anybody who's interested that CDOT does a really great job of getting all the information to you, and it's not a huge time commitment, and it's a really great process. So it's a good opportunity if anyone's interested.
So do we have volunteers or will someone get voluntold?
We'll see.
Do we want to bring it out to the full group or see if there's some transit providers as well?
Okay.
And just a quick clarification to Bridget's point, I think Bridget covered this, but the scoring review member that has, let's say, an application in this application process, they wouldn't be able to score, but that would exempt them from submitting an application in the first place. So
How soon do you need your volunteer?
part of the reason we did it early, if it needs to wait, I think it's okay, just because we are waiting for the fall. But maybe that's a topic we can come to the next meeting ready to nominate.
I mean, is there any chance, since this is federal, that between now and then we find out they're not gonna fund it again?
It's a possibility, and then that way I'm glad we didn't do the call in the spring and have to claw back.
Okay, so we've got some time, so maybe at our February meeting, when we select officers for the next go around, we could also select whoever's going to be the TAP.
Shaq, it might be worth it to send out an email to the TPR too, just because we have a little bit larger reach and just see if there's interest for people who haven't attended the meeting.
And I would agree with that also, Shaq. We're kind of early, especially if it's fall for next year. So that's why you're probably not getting a lot of commitment right now. I know Sarah's jumping up and down ready to go, but not sure if anybody else is.
Quiet, Jen.
And then one last announcement I'll make regarding the program this year for interested applicants is one component we'll be looking at is project readiness. And so just considering that as you're thinking of projects that you want to submit.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks. Let's see, next.
We'll have a lot of turnover with the upgrades possibly.
Next, Tim, are you able to share screen and talk through the 10-year plan? Oh, got it. Audio isn't working. Tony, do you wanna?
Do you have his slides?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a couple notes. I'm sure he would have talked more at length about these items, but I can speak to what I think the important points are. We shared the strategic plan, the last TPR meeting. I think we'll just be providing these updates until it's officially approved by the Transportation Commission. And speaking with Julie yesterday, that might not be until February, March, something like that. So there'll be minor adjustments being made to the plan. And like for instance, a lot of these, and we saw this the last round, a lot of these projects, we develop cost estimates very early on with a very broad scope in mind. And as we start looking at the projects and defining more scope elements, looking at true actual costs for delivering a project of whatever nature it is on the list, we'll either see increases or decreases in projected costs. Mostly increases, right? So we'll probably be doing some adjustments to keep the priority projects whole. And we'll be coming to the TPR with notifications about suggested tweaks to budgets to do that.
And the Transportation Commission was briefed on the Region 3 and Region 5 projects in November, and no issues came up with those projects. It was more the Region 1, 2, or the major Region 1, which is why they're slowing down and taking a little bit more time with those projects.
So the main note that Tim wanted to mention was through conversations with DTR, we did keep the service from Pagosa to Durango on the DTR transit project list. We did change the name from Bustang Outrider to bus service. And the funding would go to operate that line. We think likely it will be funding paid to a local service provider to provide that service.
So we may issue an RFP out to the local service providers who's interested in doing that. Good idea. I
We've already had a conversation about it. Yeah, Archuleta County is very invested to do it. So.
Yeah, we
figured as much.
Sure. Yeah. And so yeah, we've got, you can see the historic amount was about 2.7 and that funding stayed the same.
And that's a change from the last time we presented to you all. Previously, we understood that operations weren't eligible in the 10-year project. And so now we've learned that actually is. So we're able to restore that amount that was carried over from the last 10-year plan.
Get a lot of encouraging DCR to allow.
Yeah. All right, next slide. Yeah, it looks like, you know, this is our list, and nothing has changed the last time we presented it to you. The yellow ones are current projects or discussion items. The white ones looks like we've got a lot of transit stuff in there, or projects that are going to be finalized in the next year or so. You know, we're working on Pagosa Springs right now. We're working on Fort Garland right now. Those are 2-season projects. Hopefully we'll realize some project savings and we'll get rolled back into the pool. We use that pool balance to cover any bid price increases when we actually advertise the project and we get bids back. If they come in high and still within an acceptable range, we use our pool balance to award those projects. And that worked out really well for us the last 4 years of the 10-year plan. A great example was Pagosa Springs. Pagosa Springs was originally estimated at $19 million and it ended up being $27 million. We had enough project savings to fund that project and keep it whole without eliminating a bunch of scope. So that's helped us out in the past. We do have, and we haven't talked about it for a while, but we do have the regional priority pool of funding that we usually work with the TPRs to determine the best use of that fund. And 5 years ago in 2019, we decided the best use of our $3.5 million annual distribution of RPP that gets notionally equitably split between 15 counties and 2 Indian tribes, so not a lot of money. We would use that funding as a contingency source of funds for strategic project cost overruns. So we still have that as well to cover any cost escalation for projects that we're trying to deliver that were identified as priorities by our TPR members. And that's the plan moving in. So I think we go past the next. That's the last page of it. Okay. Yeah, so the projects are the same. If anyone has any questions about what the nature of a project is, you just reach out to Tim or I, and we can give you the fact sheet. We have fact sheets for all these projects. And you guys can see what the budgets are. The draft list has been sent out by Spencer to the TPR or to Shaq, if Shaq distributed to the TPR. So I think everyone should have the information. This is all of our projects, so the 3 TPRs. So only a portion of these are Southwest TPR projects. Just keep that in mind. That's it, sure. All right.
Let's see. Just a reminder, first meeting of the year, we elect officers according to the bylaws, so we need to have a quorum and be sure that we get that taken care of. I'd received an email from Tim, and his audio isn't working, about a suggestion to move the TPR meetings to quarterly during, now that the 2050 planning is done and there's not as much activity going on. Willing to entertain that. It would require that in February we would need to amend our bylaws, because currently yeah, currently, we say regular meetings of the TPR shall be held on the second Thursday of every even numbered month, February, April, blah, blah, blah. So we could modify that wording to say meetings will be held regularly and more often during tight planning cycles or something like that. But I guess step number 1 would be opening it up for discussion and seeing what the will of the TPR is regarding that. And let me make Zoom big and stop screen sharing. Commissioner Candelaria?
Yeah, Chuck, I think it's actually a great idea. My only concern is that, and I'm not sure about anybody else, but a lot of the committees that I sit on at the state are quarterly. So just so that we be aware of that and make sure that the dates don't overlap somehow, just because there's a lot of quarterly meetings that we all have to get to at this state. But I think it's a good suggestion, and I'd be willing to entertain that for sure.
maybe it's not on the January, March, whatever quarters, but it all like one before.
So if we modify the bylaws in February, we could just do it 3 months out from there. So we'd have February, March, April, and then a meeting in May. Is CCI May?
This is the conference where we have our, legislation will be starting soon, so.
Hopefully legislation will be winding down in May.
Yeah, well, it better have.
Another 700 bills, what could go wrong?
I see no issues, but my state meetings are quarterly, but it's on.
Now, my state start in January and then go quarterly. So if we could start February 3 months out, that makes the most logical sense to me, but I don't know what everybody else's schedules are.
I think that would work.
Hey, Tim's with us.
Hey, sorry, it only took me an hour to figure out how to get my audio to work remotely this morning. One thing I did want to point out, and maybe this has been said, but is when we do ramp the planning cycle back up again in 4 to 5 years, we could certainly revert back to every other month. Going quarterly might help with, we've had kind of a hard time getting the quorum lately. And meeting less often might help with that. I think we would have to amend the bylaws, isn't that right, Shaq? And that probably can't happen until
we would need
the
to
February
do that
meeting anyway, right?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so I think we can't officially adopt this until February. Just kind of wanted to, I think the point of the agenda item was to just give everybody a heads up that this is what everybody's thinking about.
Sarah, I think you had something to add.
No, yeah, that's kind of, I was just going to ask process. You don't need a motion to put this on the agenda for next time. You can just do the draft language that we can vote on for next meeting.
That's correct.
Sounds good.
All right, then I will move forward with drafting that language, and we'll have the amendment of the bylaws, and we will have the election of officers at the next meeting. All right, next agenda item, I believe, is going to be construction updates. So let me bring that up.
Good morning. This is Kevin Curry, the Region 5 Program Engineer. Shaq or Tim, are you able to bring up the update?
Yep, bringing it up right now. And hopefully Zoom can see that now.
I can see it.
Perfect.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Oh, no, now we're back to the meetings.
How'd that happen?
There it is. It's coming. All right. Got it. So talking about work that we've completed, finally, the US 550-160 connection project that's been going on for the last several years is finally completed. We are in the paperwork stage in order to get all the final submittals done, but all the work is done. And hopefully you've all had a chance to drive it. It runs pretty good. Next project, please. We also recently completed our specialized culvert repairs throughout the region, 2 of those sites being within the Southwest TPR. It's a specialized type of pipelining to line the bottom of corroded pipes, and it allows us not to have to dig them up and replace the pipe, and so the project goes much quicker with much less impact to the roadway. And that job was done. Our 550 Wall and Deer Creek Rockfall project also got done up on Colbank Pass. We had quite a bit of traffic control going on there. And when we get done presenting here, I have a couple of pics for that one that I'd like to at least show you. That project came out very well. Next one. Our 151 surface treatment project was also completed this year. on a stretch that really needed it with a bunch of culverts that had to either get repaired or replaced. Included some new guardrail and striping. Network got completed in mid-November. Next. Current projects, US 160 Pagosa Reconstruct is into its downsizing for the winter season. We did a traffic shift from the dogleg section to the east to Second Street about a week ago, so that the crews can start working on completing storm sewer outfalls on the south side of the roadway. The western side of the project is still in the 2-lane configuration that it was all season. We still have quite a bit of utility work to do on the west side, but it's going pretty well, and traffic is getting through there as well as we could expect, and we will ramp back up in the spring. Next. 160 signals in Cortez. It's been awarded. Again, 116 Harrison Street. We're going to start that in the spring. Our next round of region-wide culvert repairs is as part of our federal redistribution funding. We have a number of sites throughout the region. This project's going to run 2 seasons because of it being spread out and irrigation and environmental issues that we need to address throughout the season. We have that project under ad. We plan to open bids next week, I believe. 160 High Bridge to Elmore surface treatment. This will take place through the Bodo section, starting at the High Bridge and running up through the intersection of our 550-160 connection project up to Elmore's Corner. That project is also under ad currently. It will be a night job, so we'll be doing night paving throughout the spring and summer of 26. This is another project in town, Colorado State Highway 3. This is a resurfacing job for that 3-mile segment. Yeah, 2.6-mile segment. There's 2 culverts that need to be repaired and 1 replaced. We have that project getting ready to go to ad in 26 for construction in 27. Next round of our chain stations will be on US 491 and State Highway 160. Ad date tentatively set for the fall of 26 with construction in 27. And our big next design build project, Elmore's Corner to 225. We are currently in the RFQ stage where we have design build teams submitting their letters of interest that they would like to be considered for the RFP. Those are due next month. Julie, you can correct me on that. I think they're due next month. And we'll be issuing the RFP next year.
We hope to have a contractor on board for that project by fall 6, so we can start construction.
The language said may be constructed on 225. Around about May. That, I mean, that's it.
Unless a contractor can provide another alternative that will provide the safety enhancements to the roundabout flow, which is gonna be really possible. It will most likely be. But we're using the word may just to make sure.
Just in case.
Just in case another proposal comes in and surprises us.
Yeah, we have to provide some flexibility in design from the thing on it, so. I think it's pretty tight, the language is pretty tight, that a roundabout is probably the only thing that will work that location, if they come up with a creative way to give us a more safe alternative. That's less expensive. We would go meet the public and discuss it and get a conversation started about what that alternative would look like. Great.
All right, Thank you,
Okay,
Kevin.
that's it. If you allow me to share my screen, I just want to show a couple of pictures on our 550 job because it's a fairly
Absolutely.
unique project that we did. So let me share.
Absolutely.
Not gonna let me. Here we go. So if you can see that. So we had 3 sites, and the first site, which is the most southerly site, we had to rebuild an existing failing crib wall. And so that required us to dig out half the roadway. So we had one, if you traveled at all through the summer, you know, you had a 1-lane road coming through this section. But this is the wall that we had to build, and it turned out pretty nicely. We also had a stretch where we had a bunch of failing guardrail. It's been failing for a long time. I don't think it would have made it through another winter. We ended up going into there and doing a bunch of what they call soil nails to stabilize the embankment slope in order for us to replace the guardrail on that stretch. And then, of course, the last site was over at the Deer Creek site. You can see the amount of rock excavation that we did. It looked previously, before we started the job, it looked like this, except there was a lot of rocks that were ready to come down the slope. We moved about 15,000 cubic yards of rock and soil in order to stabilize the slope. And then we built a retaining wall of using the material that we actually excavated from the slope. The contractor was able to crush it and size it to build what they call, these are called hill fiker walls. And this will capture any future rocks movement that comes down from the wall. And then we put a barrier in front of it to protect motorists from the wall itself. So it turned out pretty nice. It's a pretty unique project, and we got a lot of good material out of it. Maintenance was able to get a lot of riprap out of it. We were able to provide some to the town of Pagosa Springs. Actually got some material, I think, to stabilize the riverbank that when they had the flooding recently. And we also supplied some up to some contractors up north. So the job worked out very well. I just thought I'd just kind of want to show off one of our projects that's somewhat unique. So anyways, that's what I
We
got.
didn't get one complaint about the traffic delays. The entire season, not one complaint. It's a complete family. You got about 20 million, I think.
Well, and the team figured out how to get a bunch of small housing trailers through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, town of Silverton. Had
That's amazing. So the team did a good job, all the teams did a good job of working with our locals to keep the necessary highway what's happening.
Round of applause for the CDOT. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up is the maintenance updates. Share that back on.
And check if we can, we forego the presentation here. The data is the same that you guys saw last time.
Oh,
so if we could forego that, what I'd like to focus on is what maintenance staff will be kind of doing here in the near future. So we're still doing some flood mitigation, some flood cleanup from everything that happened in September, October, including ditch cleaning and some activities in that realm. Winter time, of course, is snow time for us. So we'll absolutely be focusing on snow removal and keeping the highway safe out there. And in addition to that, it's also crack pour season. So we'll be doing the bulk of our crack pouring operations happen between Thanksgiving and let's say early spring. So it'll be happening in between snowstorms here, trying to get the most bang for the buck and getting the highway sealed up there. So that's what maintenance will be doing here in the near future. And in spring meetings, I'll be happy to discuss future anticipated surface treatment projects that we have on the books. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask away. Fair enough, that's all I had.
All right, that'll take us to our round robin updates. We'll go online first. Sarah, you want to go?
Sure. Excuse me. Let me pull up my list here. I did have one thing I wanted to just bring to CDOT's attention. We have the TAP grant funding our Rusa Connect project, and the environmentals, I think, got a little delayed through the government shutdown. We were hoping to go to ad this fall, but it's looking like we're going to be more of a January, February ad time. So we're a little bit nervous because we're going to be knocking up against the deadline of that TAP grant. And so I was just wondering if there's any thoughts you have on contractors in the area for bidding, just to put that on your radar. You don't have to answer now. And then College and 8th, we are getting to our seasonal closure for construction on that one, and they're going to pick up again in the spring. I think Bridget could probably speak to all of these in more detail than me. North Main ADA improvement project at the transit stops and sidewalks. We're just working through right-of-way acquisition right now. And then Camino Crossing, you may have seen that City Council just approved funding to finalize design of Camino Crossing and pick it back up after the fire station site planning was completed. We are likely going to do some type of project re-kickoff in February that I'll be reaching out to CDOT in case you guys would like to participate in that one. And I don't know if Wyatt's still in the room or not, but we are also going to submit a build grant application for construction of that Camino Crossing, which is the underpass of Camino. And we'll likely be reaching out to the Senate offices for letters of support for that one. But that is all I have right now.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Commissioner Candelaria.
Thanks, Jack. First of all, I just want to thank CDOT for your continued outreach with the counties and your meeting that you had with us a couple months ago, basically going over everything, and specifically the maintenance crew and Tim Funk for being responsive, getting our trees cut in our area. I've sent him another email with some more identified issues. But working well with the counties, at least here in Montezuma for sure. Getting a lot of things done that are simple but help out a lot for us. So I appreciate that. We do have hopefully our access permit finalized or at least signed and sent back to CDOT for our 184 County Road 25 project. Hopefully we'll go to ad with that in January or February and get that out also, so that intersection can be fixed. And other than that, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mandy Brown, who is the new representative from the Southern Ute Tribe, I believe your first TPR meeting. Do you have any updates you'd like to share on behalf of the tribe?
Thank you, Shaq. Unfortunately, no updates at this time, and thank you for welcoming, and Merry Christmas to you all as well.
Thank you. Ian, City of Cortez.
Let's see. We're getting ready, hopefully, to get the final designs for our Safe Routes to School project cleaned up, hopefully for advertisement, probably sometime in the spring. Hopefully, and then really just getting ready for when the snow flies and getting ready for our projects and all that for next year.
Great, thank you. Matthew, update from the town of Bayfield. All right, Carl or David, update from Pagosa Springs.
Pagosa Springs, just a little update on our portion of the Main Street project. We've replaced to date 33 sanitary sewer services and roughly about 125 feet of mainline sewer to stay ahead of the paving while they were paving. Other than that, that's about it.
All right, thank you. David, anything to add to that?
What Carl just said. It's all good. Y'all have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Commissioner Stasny, Dolores County.
Thanks, Jack. No updates out of Dolores County, other than just want to say that the crew that CDOT's got out here is exceptional. Yeah, and you guys all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. We'll move to in the room. See front row, so done in Archuleta County.
No major updates. We're working on installing some EV chargers inside our bus bays at our new facility. That's pretty exciting. Should have a electric vehicle delivered in March, so I'm excited about that. We've got all our bus shelters put up. It turned out really well. Moss Street did a great job working with them. It's a pleasure. CDOT's done a great job with the Main Street reconstruction going on. We've asked to move some stop bars back to allow our route bus to make a corner that was real tricky, and they jumped right on it. It's nice. I just wish people realized what those stop bars are for, but they've done a great job. We've not been behind more than 10 minutes on our route through this whole project,
Nice.
so CDOT's done a great job. Yeah, just looking forward to the end of the year. Coming back next year, all new projects. So, thanks everybody, and yeah, Merry Christmas.
Christmas. Commissioner Salter.
Yes, with the passage of 1A, which should bring, depending on the economy, close to $19 million a year for Plata County. With that, we just approved our county budget. $8.7 million into our road and bridge. Mind you, when we were doing our studies, it was probably in the bowl every year, about 10 million. But what we're going to do now is that with that passage, we understand around 40% said no on this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put that 8 million and change into contingency. So anything over $50,000, the county commissioners will be reviewing. Just for this, probably for this next, well, will be for this next year. But really what it will do is it will inform the commissioners as well as the public on any road projects. And we're also doing this for other departments too. So it's going to be a very public process when we work. But at least for myself, there's 2 other county commissioners. My goal is infrastructure, which includes our buildings and our roads and our bridges. So my goal will be is to push hard for improving what we have. That's all I have.
All right, and then I wanted to share, let me see if I can find it. For those who may not know, oops, need to put it over here and then share it. Our Commissioner Jim Candelaria was recognized for distinguished service by Colorado Counties Incorporated. So did want to share that with everybody, and congratulations, Commissioner. A round of applause. So Commissioner, congratulations on your award and your 7 years at Montezuma County and going into the your final stretch there. So thank you for everything you've done. Are there any other updates or anything else for the good of the order?
I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget Matthew.
No, I called him. He didn't respond.
He did get on.
He got off at the background.
You,
Oh,
so he might give it.
all right. Matthew, any updates from the town of Bayfield? Because we didn't hear you the first time.
Not at this time.
Great, thanks. Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yeah, I just, I don't know if this is the time to say it, but, the chair of the Senate Transportation Committee, died in an auto accident. She was 45, Faith Winter. And, we're gonna have a new person in there, but, I just wanted to, I guess, join with everybody in the Senate, our deepest concern, family. Yeah. She left 2 young kids. So, very sad. Yeah. Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving.
All right, does anybody have anything else for the good of the order? Bridget?
I'd just like to say that projects from the vacancies are gaining momentum and moving forward, so I really appreciate that. I think, a couple months ago, there was letters sent out, the projects that have that ARPA and or House Bill 1466 money from the headquarters, just kind of stressing the importance of getting that money spent by the end of the year and what those stipulations are. So if there are any outstanding questions, I'm working directly with all those projects. But just a reminder that is a very hard deadline. CDOT cannot extend those stimulation money, either the HB 1466 or the ARPA money. But we're doing what we can to get that money spent. And yeah, as always, in LA projects through CDOT source for.
All right. Anything else? All right, well, everybody have a Merry Christmas. Sir, do you want to adjourn the meeting?
Did you say, you said adjourn the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would love to adjourn the meeting. It was great to see everybody.
Thanks.
Feel better.
Thank you. Bye.